Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel. My name is Mike. I'm continuing my Week 2 recaps. This video is for the week that was in the AFC West. We'll look ahead to Week 3 a little bit later, but first we'll get to what was a very good week here in Week 2 for the AFC West. Each team won a game out of the division here to go 4-0 overall. And we'll start with the Broncos. The Broncos traveled to New York to take part in the Manning Bowl, which was much ballyhooed and publicized all week long. Peyton goes to 3-0 personally against his brother Eli. Broncos win 41-23. First I want to start with that Broncos defense because I think when Von Miller got hurt, when Von Miller got suspended, and you had Elvis Dumervil obviously on to greener pastures in Baltimore. Many people thought that this Broncos defense would struggle out of the gate, at least until they got Von Miller back from that suspension. And what you've seen the last 2 weeks is a team against two good teams throwing the ball, specifically the Giants and the Ravens, good at throwing the ball down the field. And you've seen that defense show up and play very well. This game, they pick off Eli Manning 4 times. You had an interception by Chris Harris and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. Also one by Raheem Moore. 4 total interceptions for Eli Manning in this game. And a lot of credit, I think, goes to this Broncos defense. Jack Del Rio, John Fox, both obviously defensive pedigrees, doing a good job with this defense early on. We'll see if they can keep it going here as the season progresses. You have the Broncos offense, which, this game was close in the first half. It was 10-9 at halftime. Again, that Broncos defense sort of keeping them in it here. In the second half, though, you saw the offense really take off. Big touchdown pass from Peyton Manning to Julius Thomas, which really sort of broke the game open, if you will. The scary thing about the Broncos is, it doesn't really seem like they're playing that great on offense, but you look up at the end of the game and they have 41 points. Manning threw 3 more touchdowns, 10 touchdowns now in 2 games, Peyton Manning that is. And, in this game you saw Wes Welker and Demaryius Thomas have off days for them, dropping passes. Welker a lot more than usual. You saw Eric Decker have a little bit of an above-average game. You saw the running attack with Noshawn Moreno with 90-plus yards. 100 yards overall as a team, so maybe that's heading in the right direction. But overall, the Broncos are still the gold standard in this division, and they'll look to go to 3-0 next week. And possibly a surprise 2-0 team to a lot of people are the Kansas City Chiefs, who had a very uplifting and good win versus the Cowboys in Andy Reid's home opener, 17-16. I think you're seeing the recipe to success for Andy Reid's team. He had a very good defense already in place when he got there. Okay, they're feeding off that defense. That defense played very well against Tony Romo in the fourth quarter. Romo did have some success early on in the game against this defense, but you're seeing a defense that's been opportunistic and getting after the quarterback. Dontari Poe with 2 sacks yesterday. But also you have an offense led by Alex Smith that is consistent. They're consistent. He doesn't turn the ball over. And I think when you combine those two, this team's going to win a lot of games. I think they'll have trouble with teams that throw the ball down the field, teams that don't turn the ball over. I think explosive teams like that will be a problem for the Chiefs, like a team like the Broncos, because I don't think they'll be able to score with them. But even as you look next week, when you see my preview for the Eagles game, I like that matchup for the Chiefs only because they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot, and I really like that Chiefs defense in all 3 levels, the defensive line, the linebacking core, and the secondary. And I thought they played very well against a very talented Cowboys team, which has all that offensive firepower. And I thought the Chiefs did a very good job defensively and did enough offensively, obviously, to pull this one out. And again, their defensive effort in the fourth quarter was definitely the difference in that one. Now getting to the other 2 teams in the division. We'll go to the Chargers next. And I thought the Chargers surprised a lot of people heading to the East Coast, beating that Chip Kelly offense, which was much talked about after their performance in Week 1. That Chargers offense won the time of possession battle. That's what you're going to see teams try to do to the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles' defense is very bad. I think that's really going to hurt them going forward here. You saw the Chargers take advantage of it. You're seeing Phillip Rivers have a little bit of a career rebirth here under Mike McCoy. If you follow my channel, you know that I was very high on the hiring of Mike McCoy. I like what he's going to do for Phillip Rivers. I didn't really like Phillip Rivers' weapons, but you see them sort of rounding into shape too. Gates playing better. Malcolm Floyd, before his injury, played good in this one. Eddie Royal, obviously, with 3 touchdowns, will probably be a very popular waiver wire pickup this week from a fantasy perspective. And now you have this Chargers team sort of heading in the right direction. I think their defense leaves a little bit to be desired. They were opportunistic against the Eagles, forcing some turnovers. I saw the Eagles shoot themselves in the foot a little bit as well. But nonetheless, Michael Vick still passed for in the high 400s as far as passing yards go. The Eagles were still able to move the ball on the Chargers. We'll see how the Chargers sort of come back next week. The Chargers will play a road game again on the East Coast against Tennessee. We'll see how they bounce back for the second time in a row here with their 1-1 record. By all accounts, probably should be 2-0 after blowing a lead to the Texans, and we'll see if this offense matures even more and if that defense is able to come up to speed a little bit. But you go from the Chargers to another California team in the Raiders. And the Raiders, I think everyone thought they would beat the Jaguars. They were not overly impressive in their victory. But again, I think you're getting more offensively than you thought out of the Raiders. And I think you saw in this game against the Jaguars, even though the Jaguars are not a great opponent, I get that. But you saw how Terrell Pryor's running ability is really opening things up for Darren McFadden. I think if Darren McFadden can stay healthy, which is obviously always the concern with him, the added threat of Terrell Pryor, I think you're really going to see, possibly this running attack take on the look of the one that the Redskins had last year. Now, I don't think Pryor has the prowess or the passing ability that RG3 has, but still, maybe we expect a little bit more out of the Raiders than we did at the beginning of the season, certainly. They're just in a pretty tough division here, so we'll see how that sort of manifests itself. The Raiders' defense, again, I talked a lot in the offseason about how they made a lot of acquisitions, none household names. But, if they mesh and keep on playing, I thought they played pretty well against the Colts, even though the Colts sort of blitzed them early. They played good here, obviously, against the Jaguars. We'll see how they play here in the upcoming weeks. I'll be previewing next week's Oakland Raiders game as well. Should be sure to check that out. I'll be previewing all the Week 3 games of these teams and individual game previews, so check those out. Again, very good week for the AFC West. We'll see if they can continue that. Hit me up in the YouTube comments. Let me know what you thought of Week 2 for all these teams. Hit me up in the comments. Be sure to subscribe, guys. Wall-to-wall NFL all day, every day here on my YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening, and have a great night.